The last Instagram story showed her laughing, her face half lit by the soft glow of a Turkish sunrise. Behind her, dozens of hot air balloons floated like silent lanterns over the rose-colored cliffs of Cappadocia. It was the kind of morning you dream of capturing, golden, ethereal, almost unreal. But what unsettled viewers wasn't the beauty of the video. It was what came next. Absolutely nothing. No checkout from the hotel, no new posts, no phone calls, no credit card transactions, just silence. That final video was posted at 5:52 a.m. local time, 10:52 p.m. in Texas, where her parents were getting ready for bed. Her father saw it pop up and smiled. "That girl lives for sunrises," he remembers saying. But when he woke up the next morning, there was still no new update. Her usual morning story was missing. Then the hours stretched, then a full day, then two. Panic settled in like a fog. Her name is Lauren Bishop, a 28-year-old solo traveler and content creator from Austin. She was halfway through a 3-week filming tour across Turkey, sponsored in part by a travel app that catered to digital nomads. She had documented every step: flight layovers, street food, local hosts, drone shots over ancient ruins. She wasn't just building a career, she was building a digital identity that thousands of young women admired and followed. But after that sunrise cliffside video, she vanished. When Turkish police accessed her hotel check-in data, they found she'd never returned that morning. Her rented scooter was discovered 2 days later, abandoned at a fork in the road just outside Göreme, the wrong direction from the cliff. Her phone pinged once at 6:13 a.m. from a location that wasn't on any map apps, a wooded trail behind a chain-link fence marked with red signs in Turkish and English. It was a restricted military training zone. She had no reason to be there. The question no one can answer: how did she go from documenting a hot air balloon sunrise to possibly trespassing in a military perimeter in under 30 minutes? Her parents flew to Turkey within 48 hours. Her brother scoured Instagram messages and Reddit threads for anyone who may have seen her. Local authorities searched the nearby cliffs, caves, and wooded trails. The U.S. consulate issued a statement. A private investigator was hired. And yet, more than a year later, no one has come forward. No one has credible answers. And no trace of Lauren Bishop has ever been found. This isn't just another tragic story of a solo traveler gone missing. It's a case that exposes the fragile line between curated adventure and real-world danger, between the romantic image of exploration and the dark spaces our digital lenses can't reach. And for those who knew Lauren, the questions haven't faded. They've only multiplied. Why was her last known geolocation deep inside a restricted zone? Who was the man faintly visible in the corner of her final video? A man no one has identified. And how does someone so connected and visible online vanish so completely without a single witness? What begins as a beautiful sunrise in Cappadocia ends with a silence that's lasted over 4 days. And now we ask, what really happened to Lauren Bishop? Lauren Bishop was 28 years old when she boarded her flight to Istanbul. Born and raised in Austin, Texas, Lauren was the eldest of 2 siblings in a close-knit middle-class family. Her mother, Renee, taught English at a public high school. Her father, James, was a technician for a local cable company. They weren't wealthy, but they were steady, the kind of family that had Sunday pancakes, watched reruns of The Office together, and always kept the porch light on for their kids. Lauren went to the University of Texas at Austin, where she majored in communications and minored in digital media. Friends from college remember her as thoughtful, driven, and a bit of a perfectionist. She didn't party much, but she loved filming short lifestyle vlogs before the era of TikTok and Reels, back when she used her DSLR and painstakingly edited footage on a hand-me-down MacBook in her dorm. After graduating in 2019, she took a job at a marketing firm in Dallas. It was stable, safe, but it wasn't her dream. In early 2021, during the COVID recovery period, Lauren made a bold decision. She quit. She moved back in with her parents for 6 months, saved money, and launched her own travel content brand, Wanderwell with Lauren. Her YouTube channel never exploded, but her Instagram took off. Within a year, she had 137,000 followers. She wasn't selling bikinis or protein shakes. Her brand was built on slow travel, cultural immersion, local interviews, cinematic drone footage. She had a calm, authentic presence that set her apart. Sponsors started noticing. Small travel apps, backpacker gear companies, boutique hostels, nothing huge but enough to fund her trips. By 2023, she was averaging 2 international trips a year: Morocco, Croatia, Vietnam, Argentina. Always solo, always cautious. She even created a solo safety starter pack highlight on her Instagram: tips for navigating foreign SIM cards, offline maps, code words with family, and how to say help in 6 languages. She'd FaceTime her mom every few days. Her dad followed her GPS on a location-sharing app. Her younger brother, Dylan, acted as her unofficial social media editor, reviewing footage for errors and responding to inquiries when she was off-grid. Lauren wasn't reckless. That's what her best friend, Caitlin Rivers, emphasized during interviews. She planned everything, every stay, every sunrise shoot. She'd research regions for months before booking a ticket. Caitlin and Lauren had been friends since sophomore year of high school. They'd taken a road trip from Texas to California after graduation, a formative memory Lauren referenced often in her captions. Caitlin said Lauren was naturally cautious and emotionally intuitive. She had this thing where she could walk into a place and just sense if something felt off. She trusted her gut. That's why this doesn't make any sense. She would have never wandered somewhere sketchy. Never. Lauren's digital presence was consistent, curated, but not artificial. She scheduled posts, used 2-factor authentication, responded to follower DMs, and kept a strict backup of all her files on encrypted drives. She traveled light but smart: GoPro, tripod, extra batteries, SIM cards, and often a second phone used only for maps and translation apps. Her mother, Renee, recounted how Lauren once canceled an entire hike in Peru after spotting unregistered guides near the trailhead. She said it didn't feel right, so she turned back. She always erred on the side of caution. That's what breaks me. Because if she did go somewhere she wasn't supposed to, it wasn't her idea. Lauren's last Christmas at home was uneventful but happy. She brought Turkish coffee for her dad and painted ceramics for her mom, souvenirs from a previous trip. She told them she wanted 2024 to be the year she expanded her content into more documentary-style pieces. Deeper dives, she called them. She wasn't chasing viral fame, she was chasing something real, experiences that made people curious, inspired, connected. Her family supported her, even when they worried. They trusted her judgment. But the morning after that last video, that trust turned into dread. Her father tried calling twice, straight to voicemail. Her brother messaged, no response. Her mother scrolled through her daughter's story again and again, pausing at Lauren's smile against the glowing horizon, wondering if that joy had already turned to fear by the time it was posted. How could someone so careful, so deeply aware of her surroundings, simply disappear on a trail she shouldn't have been on, in a country where she spoke the language, with thousands of followers watching her every move? That's the question that keeps her family up at night. Not just where she went, but why she, of all people, would go missing. The answer may lie in the details of her final trip. Not just where she went, but what she might have unknowingly walked into. Lauren Bishop spent nearly 2 months planning her February trip to Turkey. It was the first leg of her New Horizons content series, a 3-country project that would take her through Turkey, Georgia, and Jordan over the span of 5 weeks. The focus was deeper storytelling, not just pretty views, but atmospheric travel narratives. Her theme for Turkey? Waking up with the world. She wanted to film iconic landscapes at dawn, and Cappadocia's floating hot air balloons were first on her list. She arrived in Istanbul on February 11, 2024, and spent 2 days filming in the city's historic neighborhoods, narrow streets lined with laundry and lanterns, the call to prayer echoing across the Bosphorus. Then she took a short flight east to Cappadocia and checked into a hillside cave hotel in Göreme on the 13th. The staff remembered her clearly, friendly, polite, focused. She checked in around mid-afternoon, asking about balloon timings and cliffside viewpoints. Her stay was supposed to last 4 nights, ending on the 17th. She kept her schedule flexible in case she wanted to stay longer. That was something Lauren often did, leave room for spontaneity. Still, she always had a plan. She marked sunrise and sunset locations on her maps, studied wind patterns for drone shots, and cross-checked balloon launch schedules with the hotel concierge. Her posts over the next 2 days followed her usual rhythm. Morning reels of balloon-filled skies, quiet footage from underground pottery shops in Avanos, evening Q&As where she answered follower questions about traveling solo in a non-English-speaking country. Her tone was calm, relaxed, like someone in full control of her journey. The night of February 15th, she posted a story from her hotel room. Her gear was laid out on the bed, charging. She was prepping for what she called the money shot, sunrise from a high cliff known as Sunset Point, despite the name. It was one of the most popular places to watch the balloons rise. At 5:11 a.m. the next morning, she uploaded a short clip riding a rented scooter through town. The pre-dawn light was soft blue, fog rolling low. Then, at 5:52 a.m., she posted what would be her final story. The video was only 13 seconds long. The camera slowly panned across the horizon as dozens of balloons lifted into the sky. Then it turned toward her. Lauren smiled. Her hair blew across her face. Behind her, the sunrise cast golden light over the cliff. She looked calm, happy, like she'd gotten exactly what she came for. But no new posts came after that. Her hotel expected her to check out that day by noon. When she didn't, staff entered the room just after 1. Her personal bag and camera sling were gone, but her spare phone and a hard drive were still on the desk. One charger was plugged in. The bed was undisturbed. At first, no one panicked. Lauren had a habit of going quiet for hours when editing content. But when her mother didn't get their scheduled FaceTime call that afternoon, worry set in. Her brother Dylan tried to message her. No read receipts, no typing bubble. He logged into her cloud calendar and saw she'd scheduled a sunrise shoot that morning, labeled simply Sunrise B, Alt Angle. Attached to that calendar entry was a note, a short, strange sentence that no one in her family recognized. Don't post GPS if angle 3 works. Back in Cappadocia, a local police report would later confirm that Lauren's rented scooter was found 2 days after her disappearance. Not returned, but left parked on a gravel turnout along a remote mountain road. It wasn't anywhere near Sunset Point. It was in the opposite direction, closer to the edges of a military area locals refer to in hushed tones. A forbidden slope, some call it, marked with fencing, warning signs, and no cell coverage. Data later pulled from Lauren's phone via her iCloud account suggested that at some point shortly after that sunrise post, her location pinged near that same restricted area. Then, silence. No more data, no more signals, no confirmed sightings. To this day, it remains unclear why she would have gone that way at all. She never mentioned the location in her travel notes or social media captions. She never filmed there. None of the balloon shots she shared lined up with that area. She had no meetings, no reservations in that direction, and even if she'd gotten lost, the terrain between Sunset Point and that zone wasn't connected by direct road. She would have had to make deliberate turns. More troubling, her laptop, which she always kept with her or locked up, was never recovered. Hotel logs showed no one else accessed her room. No signs of forced entry, just a timeline that began with a breathtaking sunrise and ended with a missing woman, an abandoned scooter, and a last known location she had no reason to be near. And no one has been able to explain how Lauren Bishop, careful, methodical, experienced, ended up heading toward one of the few places in Cappadocia where cameras aren't welcome and tourists are told to stay away. At first, no one noticed she was gone. Lauren had gone silent before, usually when editing footage or moving between places with poor signal, but this time felt different. Her mother, Renee, first grew concerned when Lauren missed their scheduled FaceTime call at 2 p.m. Turkey time on February 16th. She waited an hour, then sent a text, no response. Then another. Still nothing. Her father texted next, then Dylan. Her brother saw the message go from delivered to nothing at all. When he opened their location sharing app, her icon was frozen, no movement since early that morning. He waited, thinking maybe the signal dropped, but by late afternoon in Texas, he messaged again, "Everything okay?" No reply. By the next morning, February 17th, the Bishop family was calling the hotel directly. A front desk clerk, whose English was limited, confirmed she hadn't checked out. Her scooter hadn't been returned. "Room empty," he said. "No come back yesterday." That was the first moment everything shattered. Her parents scrambled to contact the U.S. Embassy in Ankara while Dylan stayed online, scouring Lauren's profiles. No new posts, no story updates, no Wi-Fi logins, no movement on her Dropbox, no VPN activity. By the time Turkish police were alerted later that day, nearly 36 hours had passed since her last known sighting. A hotel staff member helped investigators check her room again. No signs of struggle, no missing persons note. Her cosmetics and a small packing cube were still in the bathroom. Turkish authorities visited the scooter rental kiosk. After several calls, they confirmed the vehicle had been found, parked but not locked, on a gravel patch beside a rural road outside Göreme. No scratches, no sign of damage. The keys were missing. The road wasn't on most tourist routes. It headed away from the Balloon Valley and toward a more desolate region of Cappadocia, less photogenic, more rugged. Local hikers avoided it. Part of it ran parallel to a restricted military zone fenced off from public access. Warning signs were posted. Visitors were not welcome there. The oddest detail, Lauren had no reason to be on that road at all. It didn't connect to any hotels, viewpoints, or trails she'd mapped. It didn't lead to the cliff where she filmed her last story. Police used her phone provider to trace the last ping before it went offline. The timestamp matched the early hours of February 16th. From that point forward, no trace. Her phone went completely dark. No location, no backups, no synced media. Lauren's bank activity was frozen. No new card transactions, no ATM withdrawals, no airline bookings. Her passport was not flagged leaving the country. Dylan double-checked her email accounts and cloud backups. Nothing uploaded, no new messages, no password changes, no login attempts from unfamiliar devices. Her private Instagram inbox remained unread. He did find one thing, a draft note, saved in her scheduling app at 5:36 a.m. on the morning of her disappearance. It was blank except for one line. Alt 3, better light, no movement. No one knew what it meant. The Turkish gendarmerie began searching the area around where the scooter was found. A team of officers walked the roadside trail with dogs. Drones were launched. Nothing. By February 20th, the U.S. Embassy had released a short statement confirming an American citizen was missing in central Turkey. The FBI contacted the Bishop family and began coordinating with local law enforcement. A private investigator hired by the family arrived in Göreme that same week. He interviewed hotel staff, shopkeepers, balloon operators. No one reported seeing Lauren after 6 a.m. on the 16th. Her final footage was studied frame by frame. Several tech-savvy followers online pointed out a shadowy figure on the edge of the screen. He appeared for just 1 second, near the cliff, unmoving. Zooming in offered no clarity. The footage was low resolution, cropped vertically, and partially obstructed by lens flare. It could have been a hiker, a guide, a stranger, but it didn't look like a tourist. He wasn't watching the balloons. He was watching her. Turkish authorities downplayed it. Possibly another visitor, they said. But Caitlin, her best friend, disagreed. She never liked people getting into her frame, she told investigators. She would have said something or moved. And she didn't. The private investigator also uncovered something unusual. Just 2 weeks before the trip, Lauren had exchanged a series of messages with a freelance drone operator based in Ankara. They'd collaborated before on a reel from Vietnam. He'd offered to help her scout alternative angles in Cappadocia. But according to the PI, she never mentioned his name to her family or added him to her travel docs. When questioned, the man told police they'd only chatted briefly. He said he hadn't seen her in person. His alibi for the 16th was vague. He claimed he was traveling north for another shoot, but provided no time-stamped photos or tickets. Still, there was no direct evidence linking him to her disappearance, and no hard proof he was the man in the background. By February 25th, the search area had expanded. Helicopters scanned the terrain near the military perimeter. Authorities said they couldn't enter the restricted zone without permission from the Ministry of Defense. That approval took time. Days passed, then weeks. When access was finally granted, no signs of Lauren were found beyond the fence. No clothing, no equipment, no drag marks, nothing to indicate she had crossed inside. But the question lingered. If she hadn't, why had her phone gone dark just steps from that area? The Bishops extended their stay in Turkey for nearly a month. Renee walked the cliffside trail every morning. James handed out missing person flyers at the bus terminal and gas stations. Dylan posted updates daily. They checked leads, reviewed footage, responded to tips. There was one call that stuck with them, an anonymous voicemail left on the investigator's Turkish number. The voice was distorted. The message was short. She found the wrong signal. Tell the others to stop. Police dismissed it as a hoax. The family didn't. As the days turned into weeks, it became harder to hold on to hope, but harder still to let go. Lauren had disappeared without a sound, without a struggle, without a single breadcrumb to follow. And the more time passed, the more it seemed like someone had gone to great lengths to make sure of that. The initial search for Lauren Bishop began locally. 2 police officers, a translator, and a hotel staff member retracing her route on foot. But very quickly, the scale expanded. By February 18th, Turkish authorities had mobilized a larger team from the Nevşehir Provincial Gendarmerie Command. They deployed drones, search dogs, and foot patrols along the main paths leading out of Göreme. The terrain was difficult. Dry ravines, narrow goat trails, cave formations that could hide almost anything. Volunteers joined in. Locals, guides, a few foreign travelers who recognized her from social media. The Bishops arrived in Turkey on February 19th. Lauren's father, James, stood at the exact cliff where she filmed her final story. He stared out across the valley, eyes scanning every line of horizon, every balloon in the sky. "She was right here," he said softly. "This is where the trail ends." He was wrong. The trail hadn't ended. It had veered, sharply, inexplicably, into a shadowed slope of land not meant for visitors. A Turkish military liaison confirmed that part of the surrounding area was, in fact, under restricted status. The reason was vague. Old installations, training exercises, radio equipment. Civilians were not allowed past the fencing. The signage was clear. And yet Lauren's phone had stopped transmitting just outside that zone. Not inside, not over the fence, but close enough to raise questions. Police requested temporary access. Bureaucracy slowed everything. 3 separate agencies had to approve entry: the Ministry of Defense, the local governor's office, and a regional security board. Days passed. In the meantime, the Bishops funded a private drone sweep of the trail near where Lauren's scooter was found. The operator, a German backpacker with a license to fly in the region, mapped every nearby ravine and outcropping. He found no signs of clothing, gear, or disturbed ground. But his footage caught something strange, a narrow footpath that led away from the gravel turnout, half covered in dead brush and loose stone. The trail didn't appear on any public hiking map. It curved through the base of a ridge and toward the military fencing, stopping abruptly where a tall rock formation blocked further passage. Renee walked the path herself. She said it felt wrong. Too quiet, unnaturally still. No birds, no insects, just wind and dust. Lauren would have noticed. Lauren wouldn't have gone there. And yet, someone had. On February 22nd, Turkish officials granted limited access to a search team. 5 officers entered the restricted zone with permission to inspect the fence perimeter. No signs of a break-in, no clothing, no footprints, but they found a torn sticker, the corner of a label peeled from a hard drive. The fragment matched the same brand Lauren was known to use. It wasn't definitive, but it was enough. That night, the family's private investigator, David Kravitz, a retired NPD detective now living abroad, started connecting dots that didn't make sense. Why would a content creator, hyper-aware of safety, leave her scooter running and unlocked on a side road? Why was her calendar entry so oddly worded? Why was there a note telling her not to post GPS data if a certain angle worked? And more urgently, who was the figure in her final video? Kravitz ran the footage through enhancement software, frame by frame. He isolated the figure's silhouette, male, roughly 6 feet, wearing a dark jacket. The face was indiscernible, but something was off. The man wasn't looking at the balloons. He wasn't holding a phone. He was turned, rigid, just watching her. Lauren never acknowledged him. Her followers began posting theories. Some recognized the area in the video. A few local guides said there were no known tours at that hour. One comment mentioned seeing a similar man standing alone near the cliffs 2 mornings earlier. But there was no way to verify it. By February 25th, international media picked up the story. American travel blogger missing in Turkey, headlines read. The coverage triggered a flood of messages, some helpful, many not. A woman in Georgia claimed she'd seen Lauren board a bus 2 days after she vanished. A man in Istanbul said he'd matched her photo to someone shopping in a bazaar. None of the tips led anywhere. Kravitz focused on Lauren's communications. Her second phone, the one used for offline maps and notes, was recovered from the hotel room. It had no fingerprints but Lauren's. Its GPS history stopped the day before she vanished. But buried inside the cache files, Kravitz found a deleted document titled Alt Trails. The file had one legible line: cut slope equals no tower, safe from interference. What did that mean? Was she concerned about signal loss or trying to avoid being tracked? The FBI liaison sent a team to assist Turkish police. They couldn't take jurisdiction, but they reviewed technical evidence, Lauren's iCloud activity, social logins, backup pings. Everything stopped shortly after her 5:52 a.m. video. No drone footage uploaded, no footage queued. It was as if her entire system went dark all at once, except for one final sync time-stamped at 6:09 a.m. It wasn't a video or photo. It was a GPS placeholder entry, the kind your phone creates when loading a saved map route. The location name was unfamiliar. The tag read, Signal Gap Entry B Test. The Bishops had never seen that name before, nor had any of her collaborators. It raised new questions. Was Lauren scouting off-grid locations? Did someone give her coordinates for a spot she thought was safe, but wasn't? Kravitz traced her last few message threads. One stood out. A Turkish number, not saved in her contacts, had sent a message the night before she vanished. It read, "Same as last clip, meet early, gate unlocked." That message was deleted. It only appeared in a cloud backup Lauren had set to mirror every night. The contact had no name. The number was disconnected by the time police tried calling. The hotel's Wi-Fi logs showed Lauren had connected briefly at 3:17 a.m., well before sunrise. Did she get that message then? Did she follow it? By early March, the official search efforts slowed. No body, no clothing, no evidence of injury or attack, no ransom, nothing at all. The case began to stall, but the Bishop family didn't stop. They launched a petition demanding deeper access into the restricted zone. They hired a local attorney to push for records from nearby radio towers, hoping to spot an unknown device operating in the area. They appealed to the public, especially travelers, hikers, and drone operators, to check old footage, stored data, anything that might contain an unintentional clue. They even contacted satellite imaging companies, requesting high-resolution passes from that morning. No conclusive hits. And still, the questions remained. Why would Lauren leave the safe, well-mapped viewing areas of Cappadocia and ride toward the edge of a no-go zone? Why had someone told her not to tag her location? And who, if anyone, was waiting for her on that trail? As days turned into weeks and the trail went cold, the question shifted from where Lauren went to why. Her disappearance didn't follow any familiar pattern. There was no clear accident, no signs of robbery, no demand for money, no confirmed sighting. Theories began to surface, some plausible, others more unsettling. The official line, misadventure. The Turkish police suggested the simplest explanation. Lauren may have gotten lost and succumbed to the elements. The terrain near the restricted area is steep and uneven. There are sudden drops, hidden caves, and dense underbrush. If she wandered off a side trail and fell into a crevice, she could be unreachable without specialized equipment. But her family pushed back. Lauren had no reason to be near that slope. Her routes were pre-planned. Her offline maps were saved. She knew how to backtrack. And if it had been a simple fall, why was nothing found? Not her bag, not her tripod, not a single shoe print. Even more troubling, why did her phone, drone, and GPS all shut off within minutes of each other? That kind of total silence suggested something more deliberate. Theory 1. Wrong place, wrong time. This was the first theory that felt possible, that Lauren may have accidentally witnessed something she wasn't meant to see. A military operation, a private meeting, a smuggling route. There have been documented cases of unauthorized activity near restricted zones in remote parts of Turkey. The fact that her last location was near one of those zones raised eyebrows, especially after the anonymous voicemail. She found the wrong signal. Tell the others to stop. If Lauren had accidentally picked up interference or flown her drone too close to a signal installation, someone might have intervened, not necessarily with malicious intent, but to shut it down. Still, that didn't explain the missing gear, the missing laptop, or the absence of any trace. Theory 2. Targeted abduction. Kravitz, the private investigator, believed Lauren may have been lured. The message found in her cloud backup. Same as last clip, meet early, gate unlocked. Suggested prior communication with someone pretending to be a guide, a scout, or possibly another content creator. Lauren occasionally collaborated with local drone operators. If someone posed as one, suggested a better filming angle, and offered access to a locals-only trail, it's possible she went to meet them, especially if they used the right jargon. The gate unlocked part was troubling. It implied she expected to pass into a fenced area. Kravitz also pointed to the missing laptop. Lauren almost never left it behind. If someone had been targeting her for content theft or personal data, the laptop could have been the primary goal. But again, why risk an abduction in broad daylight, in a tourist-heavy area, during balloon hours when dozens of people are filming? And yet, no one saw her. Theory 3. Human trafficking. This theory emerged quickly in online forums, though authorities were hesitant to validate it. Cappadocia isn't known as a trafficking hotspot, but there have been rare cases of foreign women being targeted at transit points, bus terminals, airports, rural guest houses. But Lauren wasn't traveling recklessly. She booked verified stays. She had location sharing on, and there were no known reports of suspicious vehicles or strangers near the area she disappeared. Still, the idea lingers that someone may have followed her, watched her routines, and waited for the perfect moment when she was alone and exposed, on a trail with no witnesses, no cameras, and a scooter left behind. Theory 5. Supernatural or unknown phenomena. This theory emerged not from evidence, but from desperation. Online threads began to suggest darker, stranger explanations. People pointed to the phrase, wrong signal, the GPS file labeled signal gap, and the note saying not to post GPS if a certain angle worked. Was it interference, a dead zone, or something worse? Lauren had filmed in ancient cave systems before. Cappadocia's geology is riddled with underground tunnels, some dating back thousands of years. One Reddit user claimed drone interference near the zone she entered. Their controls froze mid-flight. Another theory suggested microwave transmission zones used in military research, which might disrupt electronics or even cause hallucinations. But there was no hard proof, just silence, the kind that deepens mystery. Theory 6. Someone she knew. The theory that hit closest to home was also the one no one wanted to consider, that Lauren may have been meeting someone she trusted. Not a stranger, not a guide, but a known contact. The only message saved in her calendar, "Don't post GPS if angle 3 works," had the tone of someone she was comfortable with. Not threatening, not urgent, just familiar. Could it have been another content creator, a past collaborator, someone who followed her from a previous trip? Kravitz said this was the theory that kept him up at night, because if someone she trusted misled her, the signs would have been subtle, invisible, the kind of thing you only see once it's too late. Each theory brings its own set of questions, none with definitive answers. And that's what makes Lauren Bishop's case so haunting. No evidence of struggle, no accident site, no conclusive lead, just a woman who walked into the morning light and never came back. For nearly 6 months, nothing changed. The trail remained cold. The search teams were gone. The case file sat in limbo between Turkish authorities and U.S. diplomatic channels. The Bishop family had returned to Texas. Kravitz, the investigator, had shifted focus to monitoring web traffic and message boards, hoping for anything new. Then, in early August 2024, a Dutch hiker uploaded a video to YouTube. It was nothing special, just a handheld vlog from a solo trek across Pigeon Valley, about an hour's hike from Gorame. The video had fewer than 300 views, but Kravitz had set up an automated alert system to track any content geo-tagged in that region. At 11 minutes and 14 seconds into the vlog, the camera briefly turned toward a sheer drop, an overlook known for its high winds and sudden downdrafts. And for just 2 seconds, a piece of something caught the light. It wasn't natural. It looked like fabric, tattered, beige or off-white, caught in a bush halfway down the slope. Kravitz forwarded the clip to Turkish authorities. They dismissed it. Windblown trash, they said. A plastic bag, probably. But the Bishop family insisted. And after pressure from the U.S. Embassy, a rope team was dispatched to investigate the area. On August 19th, they reached the ledge. It wasn't a bag. It was a torn section of a travel scarf, patterned with blue and ochre lines, frayed at the edges, sun-bleached. Renee Bishop identified it immediately. It was a scarf she had given Lauren for her 27th birthday. She always wore it on cold mornings, she said. It was her comfort thing. 10 feet from where the scarf was caught, they found more. The broken arm of a pair of sunglasses, one lens missing, a cracked phone case, empty, and wedged between 2 rocks, the outer shell of a lightweight camera gimbal, crushed. There was still no sign of Lauren, but these weren't scattered items dropped over time. They were grouped like debris caught by wind or gravity. The team extended their search downward. On the 3rd day, they found what remained. Skeletal remains, partially buried beneath loose shale and scrub. The body had been exposed to months of erosion and extreme temperature shifts. Identification was not immediate, but within weeks, dental records and DNA confirmed what the Bishops already knew in their hearts. It was Lauren. Her body was found over 3 kilometers from where her scooter had been left. The location was not directly accessible from the road. No walking trail connected the sites. Even more perplexing, she had no visible leg fractures. Her boots were found nearby, upright, laces still intact. No large predators in the area. No evidence of trauma to the skull. But the most unsettling discovery came during lab analysis. On the remains of her clothing, fragments of her scarf, the waistband of her leggings, were traces of fine black dust, not soil, not ash. It tested as carbonized fiberglass, a material used in signal shielding, particularly in military-grade communications equipment. The Turkish authorities refused to comment on how that could have been present. The military stated that no operations had been conducted in that section of valley since 2022, and the location itself didn't match Lauren's known path. The direction she would have had to travel, on foot with gear before sunrise, was implausible. It wasn't just out of her route, it was in the opposite direction, through terrain she had no reason to enter. And yet, she ended there. Her phone was never recovered, neither was her drone or her laptop. The Bishops weren't told exactly how the scarf and other items were arranged, but one rescuer, speaking off record, said the scene looked not random, like someone had placed things where they'd be found eventually, but not too soon. The Turkish police closed the case as an accidental fall. The U.S. consulate issued a final report stating the cause of death was consistent with exposure and fall-related trauma in a remote environment. But those closest to Lauren never accepted that. Her mother said it best. She didn't fall. She was moved. Something, or someone, moved her. The scarf, the crushed gimbal, the odd signal trail, the phrase about GPS, the missing footage, the fiberglass dust, none of it fits a simple ending. It's a resolution, yes, but not closure. The mystery only deepened. And now, instead of wondering where Lauren Bishop is, we're left wondering what happened in those final moments and why every trace of her digital life went dark at the exact same time. As of August 2025, the case of Lauren Bishop is officially closed by Turkish authorities. The cause of death is listed as accidental, likely due to a fall in rugged terrain followed by prolonged exposure. There is no active criminal investigation, no charges, no suspects. But to her family, friends, and the online community that followed her story, the case remains anything but resolved. Her parents, Renee and James, have continued to push for answers. They've filed formal petitions through the U.S. Department of State requesting diplomatic pressure to reopen the investigation. So far, those requests have been acknowledged but not acted on. Lauren's brother Dylan has launched a website compiling all known evidence, timelines, and anomalies. It includes maps, translated Turkish documents, and a section inviting anonymous tips. They've raised over $46,000 through crowdfunding to fund an independent forensic review of the materials recovered from the site. As of now, samples of the fiberglass residue are being examined by a lab in Switzerland that specializes in industrial compounds. Results are pending. A growing number of Lauren's followers, content creators, and solo travel advocates have taken up her story. Some have created tribute videos. Others are using her case to raise awareness about the risks of off-map travel and the need for stronger safety protocols when filming abroad. On Reddit, a dedicated thread still gets daily activity. Theories evolve. New connections are proposed. Satellite images are dissected. A few former military personnel have chimed in, saying that the black fiberglass dust could point to an experimental transmitter or a jamming device, but nothing has been proven. Earlier this year, a documentary production company announced they'd begun preliminary research for a multi-part series on Lauren's disappearance. The family is cooperating, cautiously. Renee says she hopes it will keep the door open even if the official reports want it shut. They've also submitted a request for declassification of any military activity logs for the region surrounding Lauren's last known movement. The request is still pending with Turkish authorities. At home in Texas, Lauren's childhood room remains mostly untouched. Her cameras, her notebooks, even the half-packed suitcase from her last trip all sit where she left them. On the desk is a post-it note she scribbled before leaving. It says, "Capture something real." It was her mission, and now, for those she left behind, it's a haunting reminder that some truths remain just out of reach. Lauren Bishop set out to capture beauty, not just in landscapes, but in moments. She believed that travel could be transformative, that the world opened itself to those who move through it with curiosity and care. Her videos reflected that belief. Her voice was calm, her presence thoughtful. She wasn't chasing likes, she was building a story, hers, and the places she touched. And then, without warning, her story broke. She didn't vanish in a storm. She didn't wander off trail drunk or reckless. She planned, prepared, and mapped every move. She had backup systems, shared calendars, safety routines. She wasn't naive. She wasn't impulsive. She was smart, methodical, and aware. And yet, she disappeared. For over 6 months, her family lived in limbo. Then came the call no one wanted, that her body had been found in a location that raised more questions than it answered. She didn't die where she was last seen. She didn't fall where she was expected to be. She ended up far from her route, in an area without clear explanation, with her most valuable gear gone, with her data wiped, with traces of something unnatural clinging to what little was left. Authorities closed the book, but not the mystery. There are still pieces that don't fit. The unnamed contact, the deleted message, the note about GPS, the absence of her laptop, her drone, her phone, the man in the final frame, the voicemail about a signal. Even the scarf, found months later, caught in a bush like a marker, felt too deliberate to be chance. So what do we do with that? Do we accept coincidence, or do we ask harder questions? Because Lauren's case reminds us that even in an age of satellites, shared locations, real-time updates, a person can vanish without trace. Not just vanish, but be erased. And the scariest part? You might not even know it's happening until the screen goes dark. We are more connected than ever, and somehow, still, alone. So now, we turn to you. What do you think happened that morning in Cappadocia? Did Lauren meet someone she trusted? Did she walk into a trap she didn't recognize? Or was something larger at play, something designed to stay hidden? Let us know in the comments, because somewhere in this story the truth is still waiting to be found. And maybe it's not as far away as it seemed.